Hi guys, how are you? How do you do? I hope everything is fine at your end. Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to read another story. The name of the story is The Little Train That Carried Kindness. So let's start. In a peaceful valley surrounded by green hills and colorful wildflowers, there was a tiny railway station called Sunrise Junction. It wasn't famous for fast trains or grand platforms. People loved it for one special reason. Every morning, a small blue train named Willow arrived with a cheerful whistle that made everyone smile. Willow was the smallest train on the railway with only three wooden carriages and a bright brass bell that rang softly as she rolled along the tracks. The larger trains often traveled to busy cities carrying hundreds of passengers. Willow's route was much quieter. She visited little villages hidden among forests, rivers, and meadows. Many thought her journey was unimportant, but station master Henry always said, "The smallest journey often carry the smallest journeys often carry the biggest hearts." Every day Willow delivered more than letters and supplies. She carried fresh bread to elderly villagers, books to children, medicine to remote homes, flower seeds for gardeners, and handwritten notes from families who lived far apart. She lived, she loved every trip. One spring morning, a young boy named Ben began helping at the station. Ben dreamed of driving the biggest express train in the country. When he first saw Willow, he laughed gently. "She's so small," Henry smiled. "Don't judge a train by its size." Ben shrugged. "The big trains travel hundreds of miles. They must be much more important." Willow gave a soft whistle, almost as if she had heard the conversation. Over the next few weeks, Ben accompanied Henry on Willow's daily journeys. At the first village, an elderly woman greeted the train with tears of joy. "My medicine has arrived." At the next stop, excited children rushed to collect a box of new library books. Further along the line, a lonely grandfather smiled as he received a handwritten letter from his granddaughter. Every stop brought happiness to some. Yet Ben still wondered, wouldn't a bigger train do this better? Henry simply smiled. "Watch closely." One rainy afternoon, dark clouds covered the valley. Heavy rain fell for hours. A hillside near the railway became soaked. As Willow rounded a gentle bend, Henry spotted something alarming. A large tree had fallen across the tracks. He quickly stopped the train. No one was hurt, but there was another problem. Across the blocked tracks lay the tiny village of Fern Hollow. The only bridge connecting the village to the main road had been washed away by the storm. Willow was carrying food, blankets, and medicine meant for the villagers. Without those supplies, many families would struggle through the coming days. Henry sighed. "We'll have to wait for help." But Ben looked toward the village in the distance. Smoke still rose from chimneys. People were waiting. There must be another way. Just then Willow's brass bell gave a gentle ring. though no one had touched it. Henry smiled knowingly. I think Willow has an idea. Ben looked at the little blue train with new curiosity. For the first time, he realized that perhaps a smaller train on the railway had a very important journey ahead. Ben looked at the little blue train as the rain continued to fall. What is Willow's idea? He asked. Henry stepped down from the engine and studied an old railway map. There is an abandoned service track, he said. It hasn't been used for years because it's too narrow for larger trains. Ben's eyes widened. But Willow is the smallest train on the railway. Henry smiled. Exactly. The old service track wound through a quiet forest, crossed a narrow stone bridge that was still safe despite the storm. It would take longer, and the path was filled with fallen branches and thick weeds. But it was the only way to reach Fern Hollow. Without hesitation, Henry and Ben cleared the branches from the rails. The villagers from nearby farms came to help. Some carried tools, others removed stones from the track. Even children gathered small twigs and leaves to keep the rails clear. Everyone worked together until the hidden railway was ready once again. With a cheerful whistle, Willow slowly rolled onto the forgotten track. The wheels bumped gently over the old rails, but the little train never stopped. She crossed the narrow stone bridge safely and continued through the forest until the houses of Fern Hollow came into view. The villagers couldn't believe their eyes. The train made it. Children ran alongside the tracks, waving excited. Parents smiled with relief. The doctor gratefully received the medicine. The baker collected sacks of fresh flour. Families accepted warm blankets for the cold night ahead. An elderly man wiped away tears as Willow delivered a small parcel from his daughter who lived many miles away. It arrived, he whispered. She didn't forget me. Ben watched every smile with amazement. Finally understood what Henry had been trying to teach her. The little train wasn't important because she was fast. She was important because people could depend on her. The next morning, the storm has passed. News of Willow's journey spread throughout the valley. People praised the brave little train that had found a way when every larger train had been forced to stop. Soon, railway workers repaired the damaged tracks and rebuilt the broken bridge. Life slowly returned to normal, but something had changed inside Ben. He no longer dreamed only of driving the biggest train. He wanted to become a railway engineer who made sure every village, large or small, remained connected. Years passed. Ben studied hard and eventually became one of the youngest railway engineers in the region. Whenever he planned new railway lines, he always remembered Willow. Instead of building routes only between busy cities, he also created safe connections, quiet villages that others had overlooked. Every community matters, he often said, and every journey has someone waiting at the end. Willow continued traveling her familiar route each morning. Though she grew older, her bright blue paint was carefully polished, and her brass bell still rang with its warm, cheerful sound. Children who had once ridden her to school grew into adults. Many returned years later with their own families, eager to introduce them to the little train that had carried so many precious memories. One sunny afternoon, a young girl visiting Sunrise Junction pointed toward below. Why does everyone love that little train so much? She asked. Then now the station master smiled kindly. Because she reminds us that greatness isn't measured by size or speed. It's measured by the lives we touch. We touch. The little girl thought for a moment. Then she gently patted Willow's blue side. Thank you, she whispered. At that very moment, Willow gave one soft, happy whistle as if she understood every word. The station clock chimed. Birds sang from the nearby trees. The valley felt peaceful once more. And every morning after that, as the sun rose over the hills, the little blue train continued her faithful journey, carrying food, books, medicine, letters, laughter, hope, and kindness to everyone waiting along the tracks. People eventually forgot how many miles Willow had traveled. They forgot how many packages she had delivered, but they never forgot how she made them feel. For sometimes the smallest train carries the biggest heart. That was a story of the train, little train that carried kindness. Now the moral of the story. Moral of the story is true greatness is not made by size, strength, or fame. It's made by kindness, reliability, and the positive difference we make in the lives of others. Even the smallest act of service can leave a lasting impact on the world. That was the moral of the story, and we finished that story. Please let me know how do you feel about the story? How do you feel about the soft spoken voice of mine? Did it suit you or calm your mind or not with the calmness? Please like, share, subscribe, and comment for more exciting stuff to watch. Thank you.